So, what's this been like for Joshua? I know he probably knew needed some downtime and all that, but to go through the wrist and after last season, coming back from the knee, I mean, has it been mentally taxing for him at all? Do you feel like you've got a nice plan and he's just been locked into as much rest and rehab as possible?
Yeah, I think for him, he's been fighting to get back to the court and wanted to be out there this week and was kind of trying to push Vic, our trainer, to let him come back a little bit early. If we had one more week, he'd probably be full go next week, but not in his best interest to do that. I think there's always ways to learn and grow and develop, regardless of what circumstance you've been dealt. And I think for Joshua, he's been able to see and learn more about his teammates when you're not as emotional and you're not out there in the practice every day, which I think has helped. He's been very vocal and demonstrated leadership. And then at the same time, I think, the amount of minutes he played down the stretch last season, especially coming off an injury, right, there's probably necessary downtime that his body needs to actually bounce back and recover. And in one way or another, this hopefully ends up becoming a blessing in disguise because we got him some of that necessary rest. He's able to do the strengthening, mobility, flexibility things, and then still improve on the communication, leadership, and understanding his teammates better, having a chance to be more of a coach on the floor every day in practice. So I'm sure there's some mental anguish and challenge that comes with that. And at the same time, Joshua is a really intelligent young man who's resilient and will use it to his benefit to be at his best.
I know you talked to us about Mulder and Buchanan's attributes, the defense, the passing, all that stuff, rim protection. What has Mulder shown you to back up what you expected from him when you went out to get him?
He plays really hard. He makes big-time energy plays. He really gives to the group. He cares about gets on the offensive glass. He has an uncanny ability to back tip offensive rebounds, whether it's a free throw, missed shot, and get extra possessions. And those have been times where we've been able to get a great shot for Milan or for Bateman or, one of those guys as a result of it. He's a guy defensively. He takes a lot of pride in the job that he's doing. He's somebody that his teammates know he's giving everything that he has to make those energy plays for our team. So those are really valuable. And I think a lot of times those plays aren't just worth one possession or 2 points that they may garner on the scoreboard because they can help galvanize, elevate your group. And Eric does a tremendous job of committing to the work every day. And then because he's committed to the work, big-time energy plays show up for him.
And you guys, when do you finish up with summer workouts and then like timeline? When do they report back and all that?
So we're going to wrap things up. Thursday will be our final workout for the summer. We won't have a team workout tomorrow, and then Thursday will conclude. And then our guys leave Thursday evening. They're able to depart, and then they'll return 2 weeks from Saturday. So they'll have just over two weeks, and then we'll resume again on Monday the 24th. With some team workouts and in the weight room. So it's a time of the year for those guys where there's a necessary amount of rest, but also at the same time maintaining their weight goal, maintaining conditioning, maintaining their confidence at the level they built through the summer so that when we start in the fall, we can hit the ground running.
Are you getting to a point now in like summer workouts where you think some guys are maybe separating themselves from others just in terms of like how they approach the daily habits and, going through the hard and that?
Yeah, I think, you have 8 weeks as one body of work to evaluate that, right? And then we come back in the fall, we have 4 weeks, and then we have 6 weeks of practice going into the game. So over the 8 weeks, you certainly see some of those things. And then you still have another 4 weeks plus another 6 weeks, and that doesn't count the 2 weeks when you go home. Somebody could go home and not be as disciplined as someone else and then lose some ground. So I like that it's been really competitive. I like that there's a lot of guys that bring something to the table that are going to garner minutes. It looks like right now, people always say, do we have depth, not have depth? Well, everybody at this point thinks they do. What I feel like is there's a lot of guys showing they can bring value if you give them an opportunity and win in the game. And I think part of development is, especially this year, we have some freshmen that are going to earn playing time, that are going to play minutes. But it's not because we're just trying to hand them minutes. It's because they're earning it through their work every single day. And I think that's a real positive for us. So we'll continue to evaluate just like we did these 8 weeks, over the 2, the 4, the 6, and leading up to the game to see where we're at. But I feel really good about the work this group has done this summer. And especially, we've had 12 bodies with having Mason Williams out and Joshua be injured, and those guys have been incredibly durable and resilient throughout the whole summer to take care of the task at hand.
Who's had the best summer?
I would say if you look at best summer, I would go with Milan. I think the consistency that he's brought to the table has really been tremendous. If when we play live and we keep the real game minutes of from that live play, he's playing at a level where he'd be averaging 18 points, north of 18 a game, and making 4 threes a game, which certainly would be amazing if he were able to get near that or be close to that. So I think his daily attitude, there's nobody that approaches practice having more fun, more enthusiasm, more excitement. There's all these areas he's taken a step in his game, from physicality defensively, guarding the basketball, rebounding the basketball, and then the volume and the shots he's getting from three have all improved. So I would say Milan has really stood out to me. I think he's made a big jump and a big step. I think he's ready to play at an all-conference level and beyond this season and have a massive year and impact winning for us.
What have you seen from over 8 weeks from Bateman as well?
Well, the consistency that Bateman demonstrates on a daily basis is as strong as we've ever seen from any freshman that's come through the doors. And that includes guys like Milan and Taman, who have been really good freshmen for us. His habits were built before he came here. I think the lesson for most young people is you can keep telling them what to do, but then when they get there and we had no idea it was actually this much. And I think for Bateman, he's been about the hard work. He's fortunate to have mentors, leaders, people that he looks up to that have given him the work habits each day that he needs to do so that he was prepared when he got here. He was a guy that when we told him he had to gain a lot of weight, he would send me a picture with his toes on the scale of, here I come, and he's probably gained 20 to 25 pounds since his senior year, and he looks great. But he never has a bad day. He never has a bad day. And I think that's the thing for freshmen. So many times they have these ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And because of his consistency in his mind, his consistency in his work habits, he either has a solid day, a good day, or a great day. So he eliminates the losing by the effort he brings. So he's really been, again, we felt really strongly when we recruited him what he could be. And through 8 weeks, he's proven us right.
As a group, what do you feel you accomplished this summer, and what's the thing that when you guys get back in a couple weeks, you feel like, okay, we got to hone in and dial this up?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that, you get connected as a group. I think that's really important. I mean, we believe in the work habits. We believe in the every single day what we do, but as much as that, too, it's the time we invest in one another. Guys live together, eating meals together, the time they spend together with team activities, different sports and things that we play. All those things matter. So growing closer as a group, especially when, again, for everybody probably in this era and time frame, there's a lot of new faces, and trying to, really get to know one another as a group is important. I think, establishing the baseline of how hard we're going to play and how much effort we're going to bring to everything we do has been established. And then the workman-like approach every day, that's been established. So not Ryan Workman, but just the workman-like, I guess. Sorry. Not to discredit my guy over here, because we all know what a worker he is, but no. And so I think all those things have been established, and now it's about the consistency over time and doing those same things, and then you play to the level of those habits in the game. There's no team out there that plays better than they practice. You're going to play to the level of your practice in the biggest moments. So we need to fight and earn that that resolve and that grit that we want to have as we move forward.
Hi, Coach. I don't think Eric Mulder has ever shot over 60% from the free throw line. As you evaluate what you've seen from him in that area this summer, do you think those struggles were shooting mechanics, confidence, or what do you think it was that maybe led to those struggles, and how do you guys plan to improve them in this season?
Yeah, I'd say in general, Eric's a really hard-playing guy and played long stretches of minutes and things like that. So I'm guessing part of it's fatigue, part of it is a confidence thing and opportunity. But I feel good about what he's done this summer. I don't know what exact percentage is. I know he's in the mid-60s, right? So I think he's certainly improving in that area. And because he's going to be a guy that's all over the offensive glass and he's cutting, on the backside of the defense and getting, to the rim, there's going to be times he's going to get fouled. So hopefully we can do the right job by him at making sure he's not playing stretches that are too long, that push him into fatigue, and then he'll continue to work on elevating his confidence by the reps and the work he puts in. And Coach Crawford on our staff does a great job with our guys as a shooting coach and really helping maximize their ability and potential.
Kind of a different line of questioning, but obviously you and your staff were on the road for recruiting in the past month. How much do you think that entire area could change with the onset of revenue sharing, with players going to different places, coaches allocating different resources to different types of players in this new era of college basketball with high school recruiting?
Yeah, I don't spend a ton of time worrying about what everybody else does. I'd say more than anything, we have a model that we believe works. We're going to stay consistent with trying to bring around 3 freshmen in every recruiting class because we feel like the strength of our coaching staff is in player development. And if we find the right guys and bring those guys in and develop them, I think even over time we've learned more what the right guy, who that right guy is. I feel really good about the freshman class that we have right now, that there's multiple guys in that class that are going to be earn significant playing time by what they do every single day. So I know that everybody talks about landscape and variables, and certainly there's been some changes we've all endured, and at the same time, I think the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like the work habits are what wins, the guys who want to be here, the mentality and the mindset. So whether it's evaluating high school guys, which would be the ideal for us to have as many high school guys that grow old in our program, or whether it's when the spring hits, there's a certain need that we have to address in the transfer portal. We're going to keep going on as business like usual. We're confident in our plan, and until we feel like we need to adapt, which we don't, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Coach, have you seen Nate Heisey's confidence spill into the summer?
I think for Nate, so much of it starts with him, of his daily approach. When he comes in with a great spirit and a great mindset and a great mentality to practice, I think he can really elevate our team. We saw that at the end of the season last year with some really great play that he had. So I think for him, as he moves forward, it's always how does he approach the day in the team, what's his effect on his teammates, and when he does those things, I feel like the basketball part will take care of itself. So the majority of my communication with him this summer has been nothing about basketball and everything about mindset and mentality to approach the day, and then impact on teammates. And those are the areas he's got to continue to keep his focus. When he does that, the play will take care of itself.
And as summer is wrapping up, is there one thing that you've noticed about this team that is different from teams of the past?
I don't know about different. Like everybody likes to compare different teams. Right now we're in the 5th year, so is this team more like this team or that team? One thing I like is that at the guard position, we have a lot of speed and quickness. Our first year here, we probably had as much speed on the perimeter as we've had, even though we had some offensive challenges with Brockington, Kelsher, Hunter, and Grill. That was a really fast backcourt, and we have that dynamic again now with Bateman and Killian and Taman and Nelson and, some of that speed in the backcourt, which I think is so important to have in the league. I feel confident in Taman that he's going to have the year and then some that he had as a sophomore. We're going to keep him healthy. He's going to do his part. But his sophomore season, he was playing, at an All-American level, and he's capable of it. We're going to demand it. He's done the work to do it. But I think it's so important because he's the engine, and when he's really feeling good and he's driving, winning, everybody gets on board. I think, certainly in the all-conference and that sort of thing his sophomore year, he's probably runner-up for Conference Player of the Year. And had we won a couple more and Houston didn't, he probably would have been Player of the Year. So I think for us to really elevate Taman to do his part, me to do my part, I think that can really help us stand out as a team. And then, I think it's a group, when you look at even like the front line, the speed and versatility we have with those three front court players at the center spot with Buchanan, Mulder, and Plata, it's probably, You know, like Rob Jones, I couldn't be a bigger fan of what he did defensively, and we're starting to get some of those attributes back on that side of the floor where there's a speed, quickness, recognition, but also a level of toughness. So, yeah, we'll see how it continues to unfold. But right now, those are things that stand out to me.